Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another very special episode of the Brown Munde. Unfortunately, we've got no Harps, we've got no Banksy, we've got no Riz, but we keep it moving. And you know what? With all due respect to the boys, I'm not really bothered that they're not here today because we've got someone very special on, right? And here's the thing: Manchester United has a worldwide fan base, a global fan base, right? And that has been more evident than ever during the takeover. So, got to know this person through Twitter, through Spaces, and we thought, you know what? Let's invite him on. So, yeah, all the way from, as he would say, across the pond, we've got Ryan. So, how you doing, bro?
I'm good, man. Just a perfect Saturday afternoon here in the States. It's still winter. It's really cold here. I don't know the.
Listen, man, your winters aren't as bad as the UK. Come on.
Yeah, they aren't. We do get a lot of snow every now and again. It was in the 60s all week this week. Now it's in the 30s again, but it's not really been winter lately, so I can take that. But yeah, as you mentioned, I'm a big United fan. You know, as you mentioned, there are millions of United fans. I think they're, if I'm not mistaken, the third largest or maybe the first or largest fan
I
base
mean, if you speak
worldwide.
to Ed Woodward, he'll tell you that they're the biggest.
Yeah, they are. If you speak to Ed Woodward, there, I see what you did there. But it's just how I became a United fan. When I was younger, I played the game, played football growing up.
Oh, wow.
I did, yeah.
Okay.
I started playing at the age of 5, 4 or 5, and finally, like with the rec leagues and stuff like that, it really wasn't organized. And then when I got older, I started playing more competitive, tournament style soccer or football, and we played in tournaments. We played year round, indoor and outdoor. I think I played for close to. I stopped playing at 19, so 14 years of my life. I played football, and it was fun. I enjoyed it. A lot of people will call it's like watching paint dry, but once you get into it, once you play it, you have a love of the game, and that brings me to how I became a United fan. Well, here in the States, soccer wasn't, or football, I guess, wasn't all that popular back when I was a kid. But we had direct TV, satellite TV, and we were able to pick up BBC, Sky Sport, or in Sky News and all that. Well, back in that era of soccer or football, United was the team. Them and Arsenal, and I remember Chelsea sprinkled in there a bit, but we always, every Saturday morning, no matter what, if they replayed the game or not later in the afternoon, I would watch it. I would get up and watch Manchester United. And I remember the likes of Ryan Giggs, David Beckham, Paul Scholes, Nicky Butts. I remember young Wayne Rooney running around on the pitch, Edwin van der Sar. So my love of the game really grew as a child when I was playing it, and also being exposed to United. And I am forever grateful for being a United fan. But you don't realize, and it's crazy that we're going on 11 years without winning a major trophy in England. And um it's hard to say that because my childhood was all Reds. I mean, that's all it was. Like you win however many English Premier League titles. Was it 13 out of however many years Sir Alex was there? And it's amazing to me, guys, how it's changed over that 11-year period. Was it really Sir Alex Ferguson that made Manchester United what it is, and not the ownership? Because they were really hands off at that time. It seemed like when he was in charge, but as soon as he left, they were like, "Oh no, we got to make a commercial entity out of it. We got to make it a brand instead of a team." And I think that's where all of football has gone, not just Manchester United. It's a brand. It's not a, it doesn't seem to me all around it's not a sport anymore, if that makes sense. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, I mean, look at some of the rules that we've got nowadays. This whole VAR has an attacking template of when you're attacking, your hands can't be in certain places. When you're defending, they can't be in certain places. So, like, but just have one rule.
No, yeah,
But it's the way it is. The game's getting further and further gone. We've got, I think I saw something about blue cards.
Yeah, don't
and
get
like
me
a
started
sin
on
bin
that.
style.
Yeah,
I mean, you're the perfect person to ask, because I know a lot of American sports, they do use sort of a sin bin.
Yeah,
I know. Is it hockey? Use it?
Hockey, yeah, hockey has the penalty box. They have major penalties and minor penalties. So whatever, like a cross check, which is a slash, or basically slashing, you slash across the arms of a player, when he's in possession of the puck, or you have cross checking, which is outlawed. 5 minute major penalties would be like boarding or something like that, or fights and stuff. And then you can get actually game suspensions if it's done intentionally, like you're automatically thrown out. So it's essentially a red card, but you don't lose an extra man. You always have 5 on the ice. But in terms of what you said with the VAR and the way it is very an offensive, not offensive as in like you're offending me. It's an offensive sport now, offensive, I should say, where they're allowing, it seems like they want more goals, and they are, I don't have the statistics to back it up, but it seems like when you look at the expected goals, if you're into analytics, I think analytics are ruining sports as well. And that's just me with my age. I don't like analytics. But when they do expected goals for and expected goals against, you look at United, and I think there was one game we had where we scored 2 goals, but our expected goals for was 5.5, and we only scored 2.
I want to know how they calculate that. Like, what do they decide?
Right. Is it shots on target that don't, or is it, area? So we know our team can't cross, because Rasmus Hoyland hasn't been getting in his service. So is it shots on target, or, shots that were blocked by, the center back or fullback or CDM that they count? So that's the thing that I don't understand, because with American sports, that's very analytically driven. And I don't know if it's starting to creep over into European football, or even football worldwide. Where is it? Why are we ruining? I think this is just me. I think we are ruining sports with analytics, because you may have, let's say, one of the best center attacking midfielders, and he has the stats to back it up, but the analytics say he's not that good. So um again, I think we're getting too much involved and too carried away with, it seems to me, and I don't know if you guys are over a certain age, but you can't defend the way you used to defend.
Oh no, like some of the things, for example, Roy Keane used to do.
Oh yeah,
You'd have a 10-game ban.
Roy Keane, I think, would be banned for an entire season, to be honest. I mean, like, I remember I got sent off. I could have been sent off when I was growing up 4 or 5 times, because I did play a defensive midfielder position, and I was a fullback as well. Where I went in and I knew I got the ball, but since I came in from behind and kind of like bodied the kid out of the way, I got a yellow card. But if that was playing today, I would have been sent off, because I ran through the player to get to the ball. So it seems to me like the style of play. I don't know, Neil. What do you think? Is it the style of play that could be?
Definitely, we've driven to a much more analytical game when it comes to data-driven, decisions, I should say. I do think from the tactical side of it and from an analyst point of view, it does make a lot of sense, because that's the only way to track either improvement or drop of form in real time. I think data is very important in sport. However, for things like decisions and like refereeing, with VAR and stuff, I think it's overcomplicated it slightly, more than it needs to be. So I think with data as a whole, you can use it, but it's how effectively can we use it? Um, we can apply it in all, forms of, sport. But when it comes to football specifically, I do think they're not using, well, most clubs are, but some clubs aren't. But when it comes to data, they're not using it effectively, I think. I feel this is where the bridge needs to be built, is how can we sort of use data to make effective decisions. And at United, again, we lacked a lot of these data-driven decisions when it comes to players, when it comes to recruitment, and I think even in staff that have like non-playing roles, I think data is also important. Then, and that kind of leads to things like KPIs in players' contracts and performance improved bonuses, rather than just these marketing bonuses that we've had. I think data plays a vital part in football now, and I think it's here to stay. It's just about how effectively we can use this data, and to mainly get the competent people in to sort of analyze it. That's just my thoughts.
I have noticed over the last few weeks, watching the team closely, when you add a player like Kobe Mainu in the back with Casemiro, it kind of, if you guys have noticed, and I noticed this, doesn't it seem like we're playing a little wider, like with more width on the pitch in terms of how, we're playing from, throw in line to throw in line, touch line to touch line. It seems like you're covering more space. It seemed like earlier in the season we were playing more condensed and more narrow through the midfield. Is that just something I'm noticing, or is it?
No, I fully agree, but I think that a lot of that, and everyone knows I love Kobe. The whole of the Brown Monday love him. We rave about him constantly. But I think a lot of that is down to his, do I call it, intelligence? Do I call it, whatever it is that he's got, he is just that switched on that he allows the team to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And obviously, the return of Casemiro, the return of Martinez, well, he's gone now, but,
the return,
it did help a lot.
And it is interesting, though, that you mentioned Martinez, that the attitude of the team when him and Casemiro came back flipped. Like, it's, to me, I thought it was, and we hear all these people talking, oh, they're going to go to Saudi, they're going to do this, they're going to do that. They don't have any legs in them anymore, talking about Varane and Casemiro and obviously a couple other players. But when you add a guy that has that type of attitude, that type of, you're not going to, I'm okay with Casemiro picking up a yellow card every other game, unless it, until it, I don't want him to get a ban, with accumulating too many yellows. But for me, I feel like he is that driving force of the club, or that attitude. He has that mentality of winning the balls and getting the touches, and creating, and being that calming force back there amongst the back four, where it allows Kobe to run up and play through the middle and be, more of that distributor. Like, that's what I think he is. I think he's a distributor of the ball. Like, he's able to play and hold the ball, and that's all we've ever wanted. And I feel like, I feel like Eric Ten Hag is grooming him to be a Frankie de Jong type, where he can hold the ball and hold possession, because he's really good at that. I mean, and that's what I like about his style of play, in terms of Kobe Mainu and his ability to get players involved as well. I like that as well.
Okay, question, because you've just mentioned, a swear word there, Frankie de Jong.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
we've been chasing him for what? Are we going on 3 years yet?
This will be 2 years, yeah.
Yeah.
No, 3. No, 2.
3.
Yeah.
I think I did 2 or 3.
Yeah, this is Ten Hag's second season, so 2. This will be the third summer.
It's come out again. Gerard Romero's been doing his tweets. His things are happening, things are hot, all of that nonsense.
It's funny we talk about data, right?
God,
we're we're talking about data and how data's changed the game and how it's modernized the game, but we're still chasing after last year's Wonder
Kid.
Yeah,
so,
that is true.
this is the exact issue with United not using data, for previous acquisitions, because although we couldn't get Frankie De Jong, the backroom structure, if we had one, the actual decisions that could have been made was, through data, was the pure simple fact that you can find a similar profile of player for a lot cheaper in anywhere across the globe, and we should have had the competent data analysts and
Nah, mate, we had John Murtaugh going on free holidays to Spain and Italy.
Yeah,
exactly.
For what? Who was the other one that we were trying to get? The guy on the free from Juventus,
Adrian Rabiot.
Yeah, Rabiot.
And then apparently his mum was a bit scary in negotiations, so they backed out.
So we backed down. So, and that leads me to this point. I mean, if the only way you get Frankie De Jong, and I'm just saying this wholeheartedly, is if Bruno walks. Because if Bruno leaves, then you can get Frankie De Jong and Casemiro. If they both leave, your midfield stretched thin. But you have Mason Mount to take over the Bruno spot. But my question is Mason going to be here next summer? That's the thing. Do you think? I mean, he's had limited time, but I would like to see Mason Mount get a run when he's healthy, just to see what he can do. Especially on that right wing. I think he could be the type of player that can get service in the Rasmus Højlund, sorry.
I'd love it if we had Haaland.
I know, right? But, with their 115 charges coming up, it might, you never know, there might be a mass exodus. But do you think, though, that a player like Mason Mount could see some run in this club when he's fit?
I hope so, because when we signed him, I was very excited.
Yep.
I thought, from what I saw at Chelsea, I like the player. He can play on the right side of midfield. He can play right wing. He can play the number 10. And he's got an engine. He's constantly running. So that sort of effort, because we've seen a lack of effort from a lot of our players, is something that we needed. But go on, Neil, what are you saying?
Yeah, no. I was just going to say, sorry, just to chime in, again, Mason Mount, the likes of Bruno, what are they by trade? Number 10s.
Number 10s?
Yeah. Yep.
Right?
And if you ask me, I don't think Bruno fits the number 10 role that Ten Hag wants.
I think he's more of a number 8.
Yeah.
And for me, what I want to see, and the way the lineup's been playing lately, the way he hasn't put Anthony out there and on the left or on the right, what I've seen so far, what's really opened up the front three, I don't know if they've been trying to put a concerted effort of getting the ball to Rasmus, or getting service to him, but they are. I've noticed that Rasmus is opening up play more in terms. I think he's gotten used to the physicality of the Premier League, and I told this to somebody on a space a week ago, 2.5 weeks ago, maybe now, that I knew once he scored his first Premier League goal, his confidence was going to be there, and what is it? He scored 4 and 4 so far since he scored in the Premier League, right? He scored in 4 straight Premier League games, and then obviously the FA Cup. But you can see that style of player he is. You saw that goal the other day where he created for himself after Casemiro, he deked out a defender, put him on the ground, got him going the other way, then finished it with his weaker foot. So I think I do like the makeup of the attacking players, like the young players in a sense, where you've got Alejandro and you got Rasmus playing to their potentials. I think they're both going to take off next year. And I know there are a lot of people that are Ten Hag out, and I'm going to say this, and I know I'm bouncing all over the place. Don't do that. Don't be Ten Hag out. There are levels to why I don't sit on spaces and argue with people anymore. It's because they see the results. And when you bring up the fact that half the first team was out with injury all year, they don't want to listen to you. They don't want to listen to that and say, well, he doesn't have a style of play. But yet you look at a goal and you go, look at the buildup from the back. Look at the passing. It's easy. You see it. If Onana, and he's not a great keeper, but kept a clean sheet, but he's number 2 in the Premier League with 7. So
Somehow.
So he plays the ball out of the back. You see him play it to, let's say Maguire's in. Then Maguire plays it out to Shaw or Delo. Delo then finds the midfielder, pass it 1-2. If there's nothing there, they keep it, pass it back, then play back out. So they're like, well, there's no style of play. Well, it's the quick 1-2s. My coach, when I was growing up, my manager, my coach told us, if there's nothing there, keep recycling it until you get it into the other half and hold the ball. Well, people want us to play like Manchester City. Well, we're not going to be Manchester City because we don't have the technical players.
Question.
Yes.
Was your childhood manager Pep Guardiola by any chance?
No.
Because he seemed like he knew what he was saying.
He does. He did. He played beauty of it. He had one of our assistants actually played over in England when he was younger. Yeah, this is 60s, 70s, and I think 70s and early 80s. He played in England. I can't remember what club it was. What? No.
Listen, leave my man Ted alone. Yeah.
No, he was actually Irish, so we had a hard time understanding him and how he was yelling at us on the pitch. When we were playing, he would tell us to go kick something, or just he told us to touch grass a couple of times, and we didn't know what that meant as young kids because we were acting fools. But no, he would always just tell us, he's like, if you want to dictate in the tempo of a game, you got to have possession of the ball, and you got to make sure you're not standing around and being stagnant. Well, when you look at the players that have been out for Manchester United over the course of the season, they're our the main reason why we hold on to the possession and look like we're fluid. The last few games, I think it's been the last 4 off the bounce since Casemiro's come back. That ball's not sat still. They're not going back, they're not making a lot of east to west passes anymore, where you're trying to break down a defense. It seems like they're getting a hold of what Ten Hag wants to do now. And we can talk about it until we're blue in the face, but people will say it's a new takeover bounce. I don't think it's that. I think it's the fact that the
takeover is not even officially completed, so
right.
How's it a takeover bounce?
Right, and we can get into that later because it ties on what I'm about to say. It's because the players that he's had out are now fully fit, so he can actually do what he wants to do because it fits their style of play.
No, I fully back that. I think with injuries we missed a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
It was evident. We also don't have the squad depth that we should have had. Like, let's be honest. The likes of Man City, Liverpool to some extent, Arsenal, look at their squads. Then look at ours. Look at the Chelsea squad. I know people laugh at Todd Bowley. He spent over $1 billion, but at least he's got players. Granted, about 8 of them are injured now, but
yeah.
And then you get our ownership who are, you can have him, and we know you wanted him, but we're going to get you him instead.
Yep.
Like, you can't tell me Rasmus Højlund was first choice.
No. I think Rasmus Højlund was 4th or 5th on that list. I mean, maybe 3rd if you look at Victor Osimhen and Harry Kane. I always thought, and this was me, we would get the likes of Harry Kane, somebody comparable to him, maybe Victor Osimhen, and a young striker. And
I think Højlund was going to be the younger striker.
Yeah, and now you put him, in that lead role, and it took him a while to adjust. But I'll tell you what, if he continues to play the way he's playing now, he's gonna be a star in this league. He's only touched the surface. I mean, he's already eclipsed his. I think he had 9 goals last year in Serie A. I can't remember if that was the total he finished with, but I think he's got 10 now. And he's got 4 Premier League games and 1 in the FA Cup. And
at one point, he was the top scorer in the Champions League.
Yeah, which I found. Yeah. Yep. But Neil, what do you think? Do you think do you think there was a disconnect there between the summer and what went on?
Major disconnect, but
Actually, Neil, just on your point, because you mentioned data, right?
Yeah.
And you said that we should be using data for more recruitment.
Yeah.
Well, I put out a tweet the other day, and it got a few laughs, and I got the standard, DMs about where's Qatar and this, that, the other. And the tweet said, so the original tweet was something about Manchester United scouts are now scouting, and then it was like 4 random names from like Argentina. And I retweeted it, and I said, translation, Manchester United scouts have now discovered world-renowned simulation game Football Manager, right?
I saw that and I laughed. I laughed.
And there are teams out there who actively use the Football Manager database. Specifically, Brighton use it, and look at their business, man. They lose Caicedo, and they just go from strength to strength.
So and that begs the question: was Caicedo fit for Brighton but not Chelsea? Because he is struggling at Chelsea. Yeah. So is it, how we were, like we talked about it in the summer, and Neil, I'll let you go here in a second, but in the summer we were linked to, you see that Ollie article that The Athletic wrote, where he told the board that he wanted Erling Haaland, Caicedo, and who was the other one that was offered? Another young, or was it Alvarez? Did we get offered Alvarez?
When he was recommended Alvarez by Ragnick. Ralph tipped off Julian. Recommended a few targets, to be honest, along with Alvarez. That was Ragnick's sort of person to get in.
Right. I'm trying to remember the exact 3 players that that Ollie suggested, and they all said no because they weren't.
One of them was Jude.
Yeah, Jude Bellingham.
Haaland was one of them as well. Haaland was. We had the opportunity. I think what was it like?
We would have gotten him for $2 million. Can you believe that? £2 million.
Oh, was it 2? I thought it was 30. Okay, 2.
No, it was. They would have got him from Mulder.
Yeah, they would have gotten him before he went to Bayern or Borussia Dortmund. You're right about Jude Bellingham as well. And there was another. Was it Caicedo? It was Caicedo.
I think so, because at the time he wasn't at Brighton.
No, yeah, he was only a teenager.
Wherever.
Yeah, he was a young pup. Oh, and who is it? The kid that went from Southampton to Liverpool to Bayern, Mane. Sadio Mane was another one that was offered to us. And they all said no because they don't have the marketability of certain player that's why we're a brand now, is because they weren't marketable players. They're in the business of selling shirts, is all I've said all summer long. Yep. And it goes back to what you said, because I saw that tweet and I remember laughing, not at you, but at the fact that
appreciate it.
But at the fact that you mentioned Football Manager and stuff, and it goes back to what I've said all along about this whole takeover process is you look how successful City has been, or even Real Madrid or Barcelona. You know what they do? They go down to Argentina. They go down to Brazil. They go down to South America and find the top of the top South American players. Well, why all of a sudden are we doing this? Because Nice doesn't do that. Nice doesn't go out and actively recruit from Argentina or Brazil or Uruguay or Peru or Colombia or Venezuela or Mexico. So why all of a sudden is United taking an interest in doing this?
It's odd, isn't it?
It's not Omar Burita because he's not there yet.
I think, when does he start, by the way? Because some people have told me end of this season, and then some people told me 2025.
June. I think it was June. Do you know?
Yeah, so he's coming in.
It was in summer, yeah.
So is it summer for sure?
Yeah, so coming in the summer as the new CEO.
Director.
Actually, you know what? Let me ask you your thoughts on that.
Yeah.
Look where he's coming from.
City, yeah.
Yeah. City Football Group have, as far as I'm concerned, they're the best run organisation in world football.
Shady or not, yes.
Well, yeah. But they have 115 charges. So if they get found guilty, what happens to him?
I think this is why he sort of jumped ship. I think this is one of the probably key reasons as to why I think he's jumped ship is because I think he knows a lot more than he's letting on, in a sense, and he knows that potentially there could be a stain on his career, potentially.
Yes, no, I agree with that. For me, I thought the name was interesting because it was not connected to any of the names that Ineos or whoever it was or whoever Travelers or whatever is taking over the club. It was one name that wasn't connected. And as I said in our group chat on Twitter or X, I guess, or whatever it's called now, and even in replies to people and even on Spaces, I said this says more about City than it does the takeover. The reason why I said that was because if City weren't found guilty of the 115 charges, if they weren't going to be brought up, he would have stayed. He would have
Absolutely.
stayed. And you got to think about it. You're paying an exit fee for him, so you're paying millions to get him away from City, and then you have to double or maybe match his salary at United. So you're talking.
We've apparently tripled his salary.
Wow. Okay. So where is
So
this
he's
money
got
coming from? Where is this money coming from? And as I've always said to, when we're linked to players in the transfer window and the transfer periods, I always ask, where is this money coming from? And it seems like, Ineos or Prowlers or whoever's buying the club, say it's, we're going to buy players that on loan that have loan or deals expiring in the summer. So it's a free transfer essentially. And I'm like, why? You want to make this club better? Go buy the, players that will make this club better and somebody that's not on a free. They're free for a reason. Neil, what do you think?
Just to kind of touch on the Barada situation, I think again, I think when it comes to the charges, yes, that's probably one of the key points. But another thing is, right, and we have to kind of bring this into the conversation, is which club is, the true meaning of Manchester? Which club put Manchester on the map first? It wasn't City.
No.
Right? So I think when it comes to a historic point of view, I think he's a man, by the way he speaks as well. Like I've seen a couple of his, his sit-downs.
He was on All or Nothing, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was.
Where he's talking about transfers and he's talking about wages of United and Chelsea and Barcelona and
literally he's breaking it down, literally player by player. What he's like, it's so detailed, and when it comes to data, trust me, it's a fantastic guy to have on board because he knows his stuff, and his whole sort of vision is to bridge the financial side and the sporting side together, and he's supposed to be the sort of bridge to that sort of gap that we've had at our club for ages. So he's now obviously been brought in, but I think one of his other reasons is that I do genuinely think he has a little soft spot for United, because you remember some of his tweets.
I wouldn't call it a soft spot. He was ripping us apart, man.
No, in some of them he was. But also, he mentioned the treble win, and he mentioned, he was ripping us apart, not in a way where I think it was, because I'm at City. Maybe a bit of it was, but he
wasn't doing that when City. He wasn't doing that when City is what City is today.
Yeah. Well, I think what he was trying to do was, in those tweets, is to basically show how far we've fallen off. We went from treble winning to this standard,
Yeah, and who's that fall on?
Yeah, so I do think I think what he wants on his CV is a sense of accomplishment that, if I come in and work wonders here, I'll never be forgotten. this will be
Yeah,
etched
I'm the
into
guy
history.
who rebuilt Manchester United.
Yeah, literally. And I
Yeah.
think he wants that challenge. That's the next big step for him is, okay, he's done it at the top, but the next level is, can he rise that phoenix from the ashes? I think that's his next challenge. And
Is he going to be given control to do that? Or is he just going to be like Woodward and Richard Arnold and Patrick Stewart? Is he just going to be another Glazer puppet?
I hope he's not another Glazer puppet. I hope, but here's the thing. All we can do is hope. Nothing's guaranteed right now, So,
because for me, like you said, nothing is guaranteed. We're very much like the whole situation's up in the air right now. Obviously, the AOA passed. The tender offer rather expires on the 13th of Feb at midnight. I believe that is New York time.
Yep.
So probably like 4 in the afternoon for us or something. I don't know.
Yeah, it was on the 13th, 11:59.
Yeah.
New York time.
So obviously for us it'll be different.
Yeah. Around 4-5.
And then you've got the Premier League ratification, which the more people talk about it, the more the press talk about it. It seems to me like it sounds less and less likely that he'll get Premier League ratification.
Well, people were saying on X anyway that it was supposed to be done by Friday. Friday we should have, all been signed, sealed, and ready for the Premier League.
Some people said it'd be done by the 4th of Feb, and a week's gone by.
Yeah, I mean,
But this is my thing with it all.
Jim did warn us of this, though. Jim did warn us of this.
Yeah, he did say I might have a dodgy CV.
Well, this is what I'm trying to say.
And the thing is, who's running us? Is it Ineos? Is it Trawlers? Like, who is it? Because Trawlers have now been mentioned in this SEC. Sorry, Ineos and Trawlers are both mentioned in the filings. Right? So, which party is it? Which party's owning us? Which party's running us? It doesn't make too much sense.
Nice. Yeah. I think this was a confusion lies, but I'm sure the Premier League will sort of differentiate that anyway, if it needs to be differentiated, or if they're allowed to, run it like that. Then I can't see why they can't. But
and also, how is Sir Jim Ratcliffe getting his Premier League ratification when 777 Partners has been waiting since like September?
Good question.
Is he just going to jump the queue?
That's the part I don't get, because the way this whole deal's been structured, the way it was first done, it just doesn't seem right to me. It doesn't sit well. As you said, I don't think how's that going to work? How's it going to be approved in a week when you said 7 Partners hasn't even been ratified yet, and then they've been doing it since September. So it's going on 5 months, 6 months of this for them.
Yeah.
So, Neil, what do you think about that? Why are people so quick to say that it's okay for them to get the process through with 777, but not, with Sir Jim, it's going to be over in the blink of an eye?
I personally think at the moment, again, we're supposed to hear the, ratification. Well, from what I saw anyway, Friday. But, people did say, what was it, 6 to 8 weeks from when the tender offer went in?
Yeah. And that was Christmas Eve. So.
Yeah. Right. So, and with 777, when did their offer go in?
July.
July, and they agreed it in September.
And they haven't been approved yet by the Premier League.
And when Saudi bought Newcastle, they had like an 18-month long wait.
They did. And also, from what I heard from a West Ham fan, is apparently one of their billionaires that wanted 35% of West Ham. That got signed, sealed, and delivered in 7 days, and that's for 35%.
Oh, is that before? Whoa, that's okay.
So
When was that?
I'll get the info up.
Was it an internal shareholder just increasing his stake? Or was it a brand new guy?
I'm not entirely sure on.
I know it took Ryan Reynolds. I know it took Ryan Reynolds a few months, or how long did it take him to get Wrexham?
It seemed like it was quick, but
again, they don't go through the Premier League stuff, do they? Because they're not Premier League. So, is the FA cut, or is the FA? Does the FA oversee any of this takeover or stuff as well?
I'd assume they'd have some
say
in it, yeah.
Well,
it's just a bit odd.
So here's what I don't understand about this whole takeover process, and we've talked about it until we're blue in the face. We've talked about it numerous times in spaces in our group chats and stuff. If you look at everything that's been done in the last year and a half, why are Adidas why are they all of a sudden upping their deal with United? Why is a company like Snapdragon coming in when they don't even know why is Burita coming in when he doesn't know who the owners will be?
Can I just say on Snapdragon, I never knew who they were, and now I see adverts everywhere.
Yeah, yep.
I see advertisements everywhere for them, and I'm like, for God's sake, man, like.
Yep, Snapdragon, and you see all Vitaphone, our main sponsor back in the mid-2000s.
Yep, Vodafone used to work there back in the day.
Sorry, little correction there. Little correction. After you are right, he did initially come in for 27%, and obviously it rose to the 35%. However, when he initially came in, he bought 27%. This is Daniel Kretinsky, right? He bought 27% for £2.9 billion. That's actually more, no?
Yeah, because what is it for Jim? 1.7 or 1.9?
Wait, 27% for 2.9 billion.
Wait, let's just get the.
Because that puts West Ham at like 10 billion.
Oh no! Correction. Sorry, I read that wrong. My bad.
Was it 290 million?
Yeah, 290.
Okay, that's it.
Sorry, I
was gonna say,
but that's still if you round it out, that's still close to
209 million. 209 million. Correction.
For 35%, that's still. I mean that's pushing a bill if you get up to that 100%. But anyway,
that was wrapped up. That was wrapped up. Literally within, I think.
When was that done?
I'm looking at it now. It says.
Because the old Premier League rules used to be fit and proper test applied after 35%.
We never hear about other teams, right? We never hear about other teams getting acquired, like in terms of like long sagas other than United. It's only United that will turn this into a transfer saga, man. I swear to you, there's no surprise. But yeah, when was this acquired?
GlazersOut. That's what it is.
GlazersOut. Yeah, this was done, I think, within a week and a half. Yeah.
Wow.
What year?
In November 2021.
Okay, yeah, so it was before the rule change. Because the old rule used to be fit and proper test applies after 35%.
All right.
Then I think summer last year,
they dropped it down to 25.
Yeah. So interestingly enough, Joel voted for that.
Well, isn't that oddly convenient too, or interesting that Jim offered whatever it is, and he expects to pass the CV test, all these tests. But I keep going back to it and thinking to myself, is it because people need to clarify? Is it Trawlers buying it, or is it Ineos buying the club? Because the SEC document said Trawlers, and every time somebody says Ineos, I jokingly comment Trawlers, and nobody seems to question it. Nobody responds. Not even the.
And how is this brand new company just magicked £1 billion?
Exactly.
Where's the £1 billion come from?
Bank of America, or no, not Bank of America.
Goldman Sachs.
Goldman Sachs.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
yeah,
let's
so
move
then
it on. Let's move it on, right? Because, like you said, we've talked about this till we're blue in the face. We could do it again. I said before at the start, this is one of the biggest clubs in the world. We have such a global reach in terms of fans. Obviously, on here on the podcast, we've had guys from Saudi, Kuwait, Qatar, and places like that. Talk to me about what it's like being an American fan in the world of social media. Because I've seen a fair few tweets and replies and comments that are thrown sort of at you and at Brian and, you know, other guys from the States.
Well, when I first came onto a space, I got accosted by several people because I didn't understand the logistics of being a United fan, especially from Manchester and England as a whole. I was told that I would never understand the GlazersOut stuff. I would never understand how they run the club and why it was bad. But again, I've grown up with teams that I support over here that have had poor ownership. For me, I just sit there and laugh it off because it doesn't matter how many matches you attend. If you still get up, here's the thing. Game time over there for you guys is early morning or mid afternoon, early morning, late evening, right? Here in the States,
12 o'clock, 3 o'clock.
right,
And then
9 or 8 o'clock or 9:30 or 8:30. So when
Yeah.
I wake up on a Saturday morning or Sunday morning at 6 a.m. to watch a game, does that make me any less of a fan?
See, to me, that makes you more of a fan.
Right. So
because you're following from the other side of the world. And just to
Right.
sort of throw my own caveat in there, I follow the NFL.
Yeah.
Right? I follow the NFL, I follow the UFC, the boxing, WWE, all of that.
Yep.
Now, for me, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 a.m.
Yep.
in terms of start times.
And sometimes
I've never heard anyone say that I'm less of a fan for that.
Right.
So I
Right.
I don't understand why this distinction now applies when it comes to Manchester United.
Right. And it was talked about the other day when a certain fan group tweeted out that season ticket holders were going to be stripped of their season tickets and that they were going to go to day trippers and instead. Well, I can tell you here, since you mentioned the NFL, there are corporate sponsors of certain teams that get season tickets and they fly people in, their clientele in for the games if they're trying to close a business deal, they'll fly them in for a game, say, this is what, here's this, we're
Here's
gonna
the
show
owner's
off.
suite, here's a nice buffet, here's a massage
Right.
chair,
Right. Let's talk about a deal. This is what we, if you join us, this is what you can get. This is a perk of a job. So, in that respect, what I don't like about it is that certain fan group or certain fan groups are okay with Sir Jim coming in, but they're not okay with people like me being a fan overseas coming over and wanting to get the Old Trafford experience. I can properly tell them if they wanted to come over to the United States and watch an NFL game that I will treat them the same way. I call them a day tripper, and I feel like when I was called that, I was just like, does that make me less of a fan than you? No. And as a matter of fact, just because I don't support certain fan groups that have said this, that it's funny reading the replies of people that are from Manchester and that area compared to the global fan base that quoted that tweet and read that tweet. So it's embarrassing for them to call us day trippers and any less of a fan. Because like I said, if the shoe was on the other foot, I'd be like, fine, take my ticket. If you want to pay for it, take it. Like they aren't doing enough anyway in terms of their voice and stuff. As a matter of fact, they signed up with Sir Jim. So
yeah, apparently they've endorsed him. But see, this is where I got a bit annoyed about this a few weeks ago, and I mentioned it on a podcast. and I can't remember what game it was, but there was a picture of an individual that someone had taken, and this individual was, by all intents and purposes, he looked Eastern European, right? Could have been American, could have been anything. He wasn't a Manc per se, or British in that regard either. He had a scarf, he had a shirt, and he had a massive bag from the mega store full of other shirts. Now, don't get me wrong, I get the whole thing of not wanting to fund the club, not wanting to pay a penny more, and all this, that, the other. But what I don't understand, and what I will not tolerate, is you taking a picture of someone without their knowledge, you spreading it across social media to give this guy abuse when, A, you don't know him, you don't know his story. For him, that could have been £2,000, £3,000, £4,000, £5,000 worth of, dollars or pounds or whatever, worth of flight tickets, hotel tickets, match tickets. And that's a once in a lifetime opportunity. If he's in Manchester and he thought, you know what, let me get my nieces and nephews United kits, let me get some for my friends, let him. He's living out his dream.
Right. So
then this same fan base and this same fan group turn up at every game.
Yeah.
So
that's what I was
going
to say.
By proxy, not funding the club more, because he's spending that in one chunk. They're spending £700-800 a season.
Yeah, and you know what's funny to me is that I do have a United shirt somewhere. I moved into my house 2 years ago, 3 years ago now, really, if you think about it. But anyway, I don't know where that United shirt is, because I have more United gear and stuff, but I don't wear it actively because I know I'm supporting somebody or a certain group of owners that I don't like. I know when I first started joining spaces, I could tell there was a lot of animosity between certain parts of the fan group and stuff like that, of the fans. And as I have said numerous times to certain individuals and certain fan groups that are keen on protesting only when it fits their their motive to do it. When it fits their
only when
agenda,
we lose.
Yeah, when it fits their agenda to protest. I asked one of them recently. I said, "So you say you want these people out, but yet you're still funding them, like you said. Why are you going to get the new kit every time a new kit comes out? Why are you going to a game and you seeing, oh, we want the Glazers out after we score a goal? That's not going to do anything. That's not going to do anything. You know what's going to do something? Do what was it, Inter Milan or AC Milan? AC Milan that emptied the stadium, and I was told that they were run by the mafia, so that just hits different.
Well, maybe the Italian fans are a bit crazy, but even Valencia did the same. Valencia have emptied grounds,
right? But and you get, who was it? Was it Reading was it League Two that stormed the pitch, or I can't remember who it was.
Reading in protest against their owner.
Yeah, and they had flares, and they had Everton even last year did something with the protest. They got a match called off. No, they got the board. They told the board not to show up for a match. I
mean, that's a bit hard when Joel and Avram don't turn up anyway. But
right,
I get the point you're making. There's better ways to protest than paying for a ticket, sitting in the ground, and going, "We want Glazers out."
Meeting Richard Arnold at a pub, having a drink.
Yeah.
And
meeting Sir Jim.
Yeah. And
whatever happened to Full Sail only?
They want a Full Sail when it benefits them.
As long they want a Full Sail, and I'm gonna say this, I don't care who comes for me. They want a Full Sail as long as it's somebody from the West who is of the same skin color.
Yep.
That's just personally how I feel. That's how they've made me feel as a fan.
I hinted that, and I can't remember who it was in a space recently that said if they wanted Qatar in, you would have seen Qatar flags in that stadium in the TRA.
Yeah, absolutely.
You would have, and they are afraid to admit that greenwashing is a lot worse than sports washing. And I don't think sports washing, if the Sheikh comes in, would be United doesn't need to sports wash people. And I'll tell you why United doesn't need a sports wash. Because it's Manchester United.
It's a gold mine. It's a
It is a
freaking gold mine.
That's why the Sheikh, if he came in, doesn't need a sports wash. Oh, and by the way, where are they getting this $1.3 billion, $2 billion to build a new stadium? I'm just going to leave that out the door because that wasn't a part of his initial investment.
Well, apparently it was linked to a government initiative here in the UK called Project Level Up or something, or whatever it's called. Now, Kieran Maguire tweeted recently, and he was like, a Monaco-based tax exile,
Kieran.
founding a Isle of Man-based company, investing in a Cayman Islands-based company listed on the New York Stock Exchange that's paid out $940 million in dividends for a leveraged buyout. And they've also paid $940 million in interest for a leveraged buyout and paid $156 million to Florida residents, now wants UK taxpayer cash.
Right.
How does that work?
It doesn't.
It doesn't make sense. I know within the NFL, it's very much obviously the local government, whoever you have, the Senate or whatever,
pay
for it. But then as sort of a substitute to that, there's sponsors that come in.
Yep. So I can actually answer that question twofold, and I'm going to have to jump off here in a minute or two.
Yeah, man.
The Kansas City Royals, who are the local MLB team here in Kansas City, are wanting to buy or build a new stadium downtown. Well, the new owners are and the cost is like 1.9 billion. So the new owners are going to fit half of it. They're going to fit half the bill. Well, the other half goes on to a sales tax it's new stadium tax that gets included in stuff. We go out and shop, they charge us extra on the tax. So our tax dollars pay for it. So essentially what happens is the county that I live in, Jackson County, will own half of that stadium. So they then rent out. Now they rent out the Truman Sports Complex, but they own half of it and we own half of it as a taxpayer. So if they want to go in and say, hey, we want to remodel the stadium or make updates to the stadium, it has to get approved by the county taxpayers. So they are, if what I don't understand is, if you're going to do that, what is Sir Jim making out of that deal potentially? And not to mention, you heard that he wants to have success right away. So people have mentioned his health lately, and I don't want to speculate on here, but is it possible he's not in good health?
Who knows, man? But you mentioned Kansas City there.
Yep.
Are you backing the Chiefs on Sunday?
Yeah, of course. Of course I am. Yeah.
I'll be awake for it somehow.
Oh, well, I'll have to message you, but yeah, I'm glad I got to jump on here. It's been fun.
Yeah, thank you very much, man. One last thing, just to reiterate from myself, from all of the Brown Monday, we stand for two things: Full Sail Only and GlazersOut.
Yes, I back that
100%.
wholeheartedly.
Guys.
Yeah.
Go on, Neil.
Sorry. Just to quickly just get to the point, right? Yeah. On the whole forms of protesting. Can you guys hear me? Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah, we got you.
Okay, perfect. With the forms of protesting, again, look, there have been organizations that have done, a good job. When I say a good job, I mean when it comes to the effectiveness of it. To a certain extent, yes, I would say a good job because of all the email campaigns that they've set up for people. Don't get me wrong; that is one thing. That is a good thing in a sense. However, right, and this is where the however comes in. What I must say, and this is something that I will, that I've already put forward to, the relevant people that are a part of that organization is, the fact that conversations were had with So Jim, all we wanted was a transcript, just like Moss did. And obviously, they did go through Keegan eventually, and then there was some sort of statement. But regardless, what needs to be respected is, there are different forms of protesting. There's going to games, like people do in protest, yeah. But also, my way of protesting is not having a season ticket, watching games through IPTV. Great network, great TV network. Everyone should take. Probably one of the best TV networks out there is IPTV, right?
Just want to say, those are the views of Neil and Neil alone, not the Brown Monday.
Yes. These are my views, my personal views, right? I don't buy club merch. Last time I went to a game, a ticket was bought for me, not with my personal money. Since then I haven't, subscribed to a Man United membership. I haven't, gotten a season ticket or anything like that. But yet still, me actively making choices not to put a penny in their pocket, right? I've done myself a favor in the sense of I know for a fact that not any of my pennies are going towards the Glazers. However, this is a form of protesting, and people just need to come into unison, in a sense of respect the people that aren't local, that choose to protest in a different way. And look, I'm not local to Old Trafford at all, right? I'm from London. I still get called like all these names, day tripper.
Neil, I think we've. Oh, yeah, you're there.
Sorry.
I think you've gone. Yeah. Right, listen, Neil, I was loving listening to you, but unfortunately, the signal gods had other choices. Ryan, thank you so much, man. I know we've been trying to organize this for months, but schedulings just didn't add up, and we finally got it done. But like I said, full sale only, Glazers out. And if that includes Jim Ratcliffe, we want Jimmy out as well. Thank you very much, guys.
You're welcome, and thank you for having me on again. It was a blast.
Pleasure was all ours, man.
Sorry, cheers.